Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another weekly meal prep video. So before I show you guys what I'm planning on making today, I wanted to take a minute and thank Home Chef for sponsoring this week's meal prep video. I've actually been using them for years. Here is one of the recipe binders I have with my favorite recipes, and I love using them for meal prep as well as dinners during the week because it just makes it so much easier to put everything together. You get ingredients that you might not normally use, and the food is always fabulous. So if you guys are interested in trying out Home Chef either for your weeknight dinners or for meal prep, check the description box below.
And you can use code Chapin80 for $20 off each meal for your first 4 meals.
The meals that I got this week are, I decided to get 4 meals, 2 people each, or 2 servings each. They do have family size meals also if you're interested in that, so whatever works out for you. There's always a ton of options to choose from, and you know, there are things in there that my kids eat as well, so that's definitely a benefit. These 2 meals I'm just going to cook for dinners: the salmon with dill crema and the roasted garlic butter steak, so I'm going to go ahead and set those aside. What I'm going to work on in meal prep today is the lemon thyme chicken orzo. I thought this would be good to put into containers for meal prep during the week, and then also the buffalo chicken lettuce wraps would be good as well. So let me show you the rest of what I'm going to work on too. Alright, so before I get started meal prepping, I just wanted to show you a little bit behind the process that I use. It is a Saturday morning. It is 8:30 in the morning, and I've got my coffee, I've got my hooded sweatshirt on, and I'm ready to go. So some of the questions, or a common question I guess that I get on meal prep, is how long does it take me? It's really hard for me to judge that because it differs every time, and honestly I'm doing a lot of other things while I'm doing this. So like, while I have stuff in the oven, I might go upstairs and do laundry, I might stop and sweep the floor, I might, you know, pause and work on YouTube for a while. So it really varies each time. I would say usually around 3 hours, although I could probably get it done quicker than that if I just like buckled down and didn't leave my kitchen. Another common question I get is if I'm still doing keto, and the answer is no. So this video I'm filming in February 2019. Some of my earlier videos from back in the summer of 2018, I was doing keto on and off, but I've stopped doing that since, and I actually have had more success losing weight by just trying to eat sensibly and control my portions, and I've really focused on exercise, so making sure that I walk or jog or do some sort of physical activity every day. So hopefully that answers some of the more common questions, but this week I'm going to work on the Home Chef meals that I'm using for meal prep. So the buffalo chicken lettuce wraps and the lemon thyme chicken orzo, and then I just make my list of what all I want to get done. So I have 2 containers out here. One is going to be for some cut up veggies that we can have with ranch during the week, and then the other container is going to be for cut up fruit. So I have some strawberries here that I'm going to wash and get sliced up. I have some blueberries, and I have a mango. I do have some grapes, but I usually store those separately. I may prep a few snack boxes for the kids' lunches. I'm not sure yet. And then I do want to make some taco meat for Adam to make one night while I'm gone this week. I'm actually going to be out of town for work for a couple days. This isn't really something that I have to do. You know, he's quite capable of, you know, feeding the kids while I'm not here. It's just something that I do if I have the time. So yeah, and if they don't end up eating it, you know, when I get back, I can always throw it in the freezer and use it for a different meal, so it's not like it'll go to waste. And then I also want to make some breakfast burritos. So I actually got out some leftover pulled pork that we have from last weekend. Adam did a pork butt on the smoker, and originally I had gotten some sausage at the grocery store because I was going to do like sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast burritos, but I thought that the pulled pork would actually be really good in there. So I think I'm going to do that instead of the sausage. And then I do have a little bit of cheese sauce that I might put in there. I have shredded cheese in the refrigerator, and then I also have some salsa, and I might have some like a little bag of hash browns in the freezer. So if I do, I will go ahead and use those up. Basically, I just like to kind of go through my fridge and decide, okay, what do I have that I can incorporate, because I don't really like to waste food if I don't have to. I did also get this at Aldi this week. It was $5 off, and so this whole tray, it's almost like a pound of meat and cheese, ended up only being $5, which is a huge deal. So I may try to portion this up into smaller containers just so it's easier for us to take for snacks to work. I also have some chicken breasts that I got from the grocery store that I would like to get trimmed up and portioned out and frozen. So I'm going to work on that as well. And then I have all of my Home Chef stuff. I got 4 meals this week, so 2 of the meals, they all serve 2, so 2 of the meals I'm going to make for us for dinner tonight, and the other 2 meals will be for meal prep. So let's get started.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to get started with is washing all of my produce. I love to use my OXO salad spinner and soak my fruits and veggies in there along with a little bit of vinegar just to clean them off. Just make sure that if you're using vinegar to wash your fruit and vegetables that you rinse it off well afterwards, because you obviously don't want your berries to taste like vinegar. I always have the salad spinner linked in the description box below, and a lot of you guys have messaged me saying that you've bought it and you love it. It is definitely one of my very favorite kitchen tools, and I use it every week multiple times. So I'm just going to cut these strawberries up. These will be good in the fridge for usually they last for about 5 days, and my kids like to eat them for breakfast. We can put them in lunches or eat them with yogurt. And if I have any left at the end of the week, I just throw them in the freezer and we use them for smoothies. The container that I like to put my fruit salad in is just one of these Rubbermaid clear containers. I'll try to find those on Amazon too and link them down below. I love them because they stack up really nicely in the fridge and they hold a lot of food. So I like to do the same thing with my blueberries. I just put them into my salad spinner and fill it up with really cold water and a splash of white vinegar. I let those soak for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I make sure that I rinse them off really well. Blueberries are not as heavy as strawberries, so I do like to spin those dry, and then you can just place them into the container along with your other fruit. The last thing that I'm going to include in this is some mango, and I've been buying more mango recently because Adam and Kira really like it. The easiest way I've found to cut it is to just take a vegetable peeler and peel off all the skin first before you try and slice it. This ends up leaving the most flesh and allows you to just waste less of the fruit. So a mango has like a pretty oblong, like oval shaped pit, and so you just have to kind of cut around that as best you can. I like to cut this into spears. It's just easier for the kids to grab and eat that way, so I'm just going to finish that and get it into the container. I also just wanted to remind you guys quick, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I'll leave my name up on the screen right now over there. It's just Jen Chapin. I do post a lot more frequently over there when I'm not posting videos here on YouTube. I like to post pictures of fun things that we're doing and definitely meals that I either eat out or cook. So make sure and follow me over there if you have Instagram. So normally I like to buy red grapes at the grocery store, but this week they were looking a little bit sort of past their prime, and so I decided to buy green grapes. How I like to clean my grapes is the same way. I just pull them off of the stems and put them in the salad spinner along with some vinegar. I soak grapes for a little bit longer just because I find them to be a bit dirtier and have some film on them. I just make sure to rinse them well, and then I'm going to store them in a Ziploc bag along with a paper towel just to absorb some of that extra moisture while they're in the fridge, and they will last for about a week. So the next thing that I'm going to wash up is some cherry tomatoes and some cucumbers, and I'm going to do the same thing, just soak them in cold water with a little bit of vinegar. These don't take long to wash at all. I like to make sure that I rinse them well, and then they are ready to use. So for the cucumbers, I'm going to go ahead and use a clean tea towel to dry those off, and then also I'm going to dry off the cherry tomatoes as well. I have these Rubbermaid produce keepers that I get. You can find them anywhere, but I'll link them below on Amazon. I really like them because they have a tray in the bottom that keeps the food up off the bottom of the dish. And so if there's any moisture, it just kind of like drains down into the bottom and doesn't get your fruit or vegetables wet. So I'll link those down below. For the cucumbers, I am going to slice those into wedges. These are just some mini cucumbers that I got at Aldi. I really like them, and my kids like to have them in their lunch and for snacks along with a little bit of ranch dressing. So I'm just cutting those up and getting those into my container. So this is like club music that I have playing in this video, so I hope you guys like that. I don't know. I just got it from Epidemic Sound. I'm sorry if you don't like it. But anyway, I think it's kind of upbeat. It's fine. So I am just doing the same with my peppers. I got a multi-pack of bell peppers from Aldi this week. I'm going to use them for a couple different things, but one thing I'm going to do is cut them up into strips, and I will put them in this container along with the rest of the veggies, and my family can eat these along with ranch dip for the remainder of the week. I can also cut them up and put them on salads, and if we don't eat them by the end of the week, what I like to do before they go bad is just throw them in my veggie scrap bag in the freezer. So I keep a bag full of vegetable scraps in the freezer. I like to put like carrots, onions, celery, parsley, peppers, like anything in there that I can make chicken or beef stock with. And then that way I have a bag of veggies ready to go when I am ready to make beef or chicken stock in my Instant Pot. So the last thing I'm adding to this is some baby carrot, and my chopped up veggies will be complete. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to get started on is some breakfast burritos for breakfast meal prep. And these will primarily be for Adam to take during the week for breakfast. He really does like breakfast burritos. I did eat a couple of these and they were actually really good. So I'll try to type out the recipe in the description box below. I kind of just... I didn't really use a recipe. I just used stuff that I had in my fridge. So I'll try to type that out the best I can. But I'm going to saute that red pepper in a little bit of butter in a skillet. And then while that is sauteing on medium heat, I'm going to crack my eggs into a mixing bowl. So I'm going to make 6 breakfast burritos. And these are like the large burrito size taco shells or burrito shells. I'm using 10 eggs along with a splash of milk, some pepper, and a little bit of salt. I'm just going to whisk that up really well with a whisk by hand until it is very well combined. And then once the pepper is soft, you can go ahead and add your eggs to the skillet. Since you had some butter in there, it will not stick. Or it will not stick as much, I guess I would say. I just like to cook my scrambled eggs over like medium or medium low heat until they are almost set. You have to remember that you're going to heat these back up again in the microwave, and so you don't want to overcook your eggs.
Lose your shit, you know it's all cool. Everybody, here's my friend Lord. I can see what you came here to do, and I'm all low, stuck in the middle, going on for sure. Hey, lose the rhythm with me, dance, take it chill, yeah, pick your pace. I'm just hanging.
So once the eggs and the peppers are done, I'm just going to go ahead and remove those to a plate so they can cool a little bit. Just make sure that you kind of wipe the skillet out the best you can, and then go ahead and add your protein. So in this case, I'm using some leftover pulled pork that Adam had made in the smoker the past weekend, but you could use bacon or ham or sausage, or even leave the meat out if you wanted. So just be flexible with this part. You could definitely use any meat that you had on hand. I definitely wanted to make sure that this pork was broken up into small pieces, just because I knew it would be going in with the eggs and I didn't want like big chunks of meat in the burritos. I'm just using a wooden spoon to make sure I break up the pork. This ended up actually being really good. Like the smoky flavor of the pork just added like a great flavor to the breakfast burritos. So to that mixture, I'm putting the eggs back in the pan and adding about a half a cup of nacho cheese, or I don't think this was actually nacho cheese. I think it was just like a regular cheese sauce that we had left over. You definitely do not have to use the cheese sauce. If you just had shredded cheese on hand, that would totally be fine. But since I had this left over and I was trying to use everything up, I went ahead and added it. So the burrito mixture, I'm adding that to my flour tortillas along with a little bit of shredded cheese on top and a little bit of salsa, and I'm going to wrap those up the best that I can. If I had to do this over, I would definitely say make sure that you get as much liquid out of the salsa as you can, because it will make the burritos a little bit not soggy, but when you try to wrap them up, some of the tomato juice will kind of come out the seams. So maybe next time if I was doing it differently, I would either drain the salsa or add taco sauce instead. And so I'm just going to go ahead and keep assembling these burritos, and when they are all finished, I'm going to wrap them in some wax paper. If you're going to freeze these, which you totally could, I would wrap them in wax paper first and then foil, just to make sure that they don't get freezer burnt while they're in the freezer. Since I was keeping these in the refrigerator and I knew we wanted to heat them back up in the microwave, I'm just wrapping them in a little bit of wax paper. So I'm just starting at the corner and wrapping those up. Actually, I ran out of wax paper when I was almost done, and so I had to use parchment paper for the last burrito, which worked just fine. But we actually warmed these up in the microwave during the week and ate them with a little bit of extra salsa, and they were really delicious. So this is something that I would definitely consider meal prepping again in the future. It's a little bit of a heartier breakfast and not quite so healthy, but it was really good nonetheless. Okay, so since I like to show you guys my whole process during the weekends when I meal prep, this isn't necessarily a meal prep, but it's just something I do to get food ready for upcoming weeks. So I went to the grocery store this weekend and they had chicken breasts on sale for like $1.58 a pound, which is super, super cheap. So I bought a big pack of these chicken breasts, and I just like to trim the excess fat off the edges. That's just a personal preference, and I do save that for my stock. And then I like to just kind of butterfly the chicken breast down the center or cut it so that it is thinner. That way it will cook faster. For those chicken scraps, like I said, I'm going to put those in a Ziploc bag and put those in the freezer, and I will use those for chicken stock when I make that on down the road. So I do have a vacuum sealer that I got on Amazon a few months back, and I do really like it. I would recommend this model. The only thing is that you have to press it down really hard, and I don't think the instructions were super clear about that. But once you kind of figure it out to push the machine down really hard, it does a really good job of sucking all the air out of the bag so that you can freeze different meats and foods so it doesn't get freezer burned. So in the past, I've used this for tamales and meats and just anything that I want to put in the deep freeze. It's super easy to seal the bag up. I just go ahead and label it with a permanent marker, and then I place the meat or chicken into the bag. You want to make sure that you leave a couple inches at the top so that it can go ahead and suck the air out. You just put it in the machine, press it down, and then push seal. It will suck all the air out of the bag and go ahead and seal it up. So you will have those ready in the freezer for later meals. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to get started on is my home chef meal. This is the lemon thyme chicken orzo. This makes 2 servings, and so what I'm going to do is prep this and get it put into some glass containers to take to work during the week. The first thing that I'm going to do is wash my kale. I just like to pull that off the stems. I'm putting it in my salad spinner. I will soak this in the sink in really cold water. And then once it's done soaking, I'll go ahead and spin it dry and make sure that all the water is off of that before I chop it up for the recipe.
With my friends. Oh hey, get your groove on, make it sway. Do your thing, boy, it's okay. I think we'll be more than friends.
The recipe also calls for some cherry tomatoes, so I'm just going to put those in the bowl of the salad spinner and soak those in cold water just to make sure that they are clean. 2 chicken breasts come with this meal, so I am putting those on a plate with a paper towel just to pat them dry. This will make sure that the chicken gets nice and browned when you cook it in the skillet. If it's wet, it won't get that nice brown crust on the outside. So I'm seasoning the chicken breast with salt and pepper, on both sides. I'm just using a fork to turn those over. I have a skillet heating up with some olive oil in it, and once that is nice and hot, I will put the chicken breast in there and let it sear on one side until it is nice and brown. Once it is brown on one side, I'm going to go ahead and check it and see if it needs a little bit more. At this point, I thought it could use a little bit more browning, and so I left it in the skillet for a few more minutes. But once that is brown to your liking, you can go ahead and turn it over, and you're not going to totally cook it in the skillet because it's going to finish in the oven. So I just let it cook for a couple minutes on the other side. I'm going to remove that to a baking sheet that is lined with foil, and I will pop that into the oven and let that cook the rest of the way. This makes sure that the chicken gets cooked all the way through without getting dry. So I'm cooking that at 400 for about 10 minutes. And once that is done, I will let it rest. So while the chicken is cooking, I'm going to work on the rest of the ingredients for the orzo. So how this dish ends up turning out is that you have this like, orzo with kale and Parmesan and this like really delicious sort of like sauce that's on the bottom of the dish, and then you put the sliced up chicken breast on top. So there was one shallot that came with this box. So I just minced that up really finely, and I'm putting that in a skillet with a little bit of olive oil just to saute up. I am also smashing my garlic cloves and mincing those up. Sometimes I get a lot of comments on asking that, are you a chef? Do you know how to use a knife really well? No, I am not. I am just a nurse who loves to cook a lot and has cooked for many years. So I do have a really great chef's knife, and I will link that in the description box below if you guys are interested. I think it really helps to have a great chef's knife. And if you cook a lot, it is an investment that will last you your whole entire life. So the next thing that I'm going to do is just chop up that kale into bite-sized pieces. I'm just putting that in the strainer to let it rest until I'm ready for it. For the orzo, I am salting the boiling water that is on the stove. Before I dump my orzo in, I will cook that until it is just about done. You don't want to overcook it, definitely, because it will be gummy. But just cook it until it is al dente, or that means to the tooth. So just so it's done, but a little bit firm. And while that's cooking, I'm going to use my knife to have my cherry tomatoes. And then I also have some fresh thyme that I'm going to chop up for the recipe as well. Okay, so I've gone ahead and sauteed the shallots and the garlic in a skillet and a little bit of olive oil until they are soft. I'm going to add a little bit of the pasta cooking water to that sauce, along with the chicken base that is in the Home Chef box. And this is going to make a sauce for the cooked orzo. So it's sort of like a chicken broth kind of sauce, along with the kale and the Parmesan cheese. Next, I'm going to add the kale and salt and pepper that, and you just want to cook this over medium heat until the kale wilts up and becomes softened. Next, I'm going to add my cooked orzo. I'll just put that in the pan and make sure I stir it around. I will add a pat of butter that also comes in the box, along with the Parmesan cheese, and then the halved cherry tomatoes. So once I get everything in the skillet, I'm just going to go ahead and stir that up really well until I feel that all the ingredients are combined together. I'm going to cook that just for a little bit over medium heat to make sure that the butter is melted and the cheese is combined and everything is well heated through. So I have let the chicken breasts rest for about 15 minutes. I'm going to slice those on an angle into thin slices. This just makes sure that the meat is more tender. I have 2 glass dishes. I use the Pyrex glass dishes. I'll try to find those on Amazon and link them down below if I can. I can't remember where I got them. I may have got them at Costco, but I'm sure there's something comparable on Amazon. For the dishes, I'm going to scoop the Orzo mixture into those and then lay the cooked chicken breast on top. And then I will also cut up a little bit of lemon and add that to the dish as well, so I can squeeze that over the top and a little bit of fresh thyme. I did take these to work during the week and they turned out really delicious. Sometimes when you heat recipes back up, they don't turn out quite as well, but these turned out really, really good. I just removed the lemon, heated up the chicken and the Orzo and squeezed that over the top, and it was really delicious for a work lunch. So the next thing that I'm going to work on is my other home chef meal. This is the buffalo chicken wraps, and you'll see actually as I make this recipe that I modified it a little bit to fit my meal prep. So that's one thing that I really like about the home chef meals, is that it's super easy to modify these so that you can take them for meal prep or just add things to them so that you can make them more family friendly. It just really depends on your tastes and what you're using them for. So what I'm going to do first is just add the chicken breast to a skillet along with a little bit of water, some salt and pepper, make sure I find the right lid, and then I'm going to steam those chicken breasts until they are cooked through, and that will be to toss with the buffalo sauce to put on top of my salad. So there was a whole head of Bib lettuce that came with this recipe. I'm just soaking that in cold water to make sure that all of the dirt is removed. The other thing that I wanted to mention about Home Chef is that everything comes together in a bag, and so there's no guessing about which ingredients go in which recipe. They are already packaged together. So one of the things that was to go in these wraps was a carrot slaw, and so I'm mixing the shredded carrot along with a package of ranch dressing. Both of those came in my Home Chef order. There was a recommendation to add blue cheese to this, but since Adam doesn't like blue cheese, I did not add it to the carrot slaw. I'm just going to go ahead and keep that on the side so that I can eat it later if needed. I did add a little bit of salt and pepper to that carrot slaw, and it really turned out good. So after the lettuce was soaked and rinsed, I just spun that dry in my salad spinner, and then I have two sort of salad takeout containers here. I like to save takeout containers when our family gets takeout from like Asian restaurants, and I wash these and reuse them for salad prep for us to take to work. I just think that it's a really great way to not only be eco-friendly, but just have, a great salad container that you can take something in for work. So I'm putting some of the lettuce in those containers, and then I'm sort of separating the ingredients so that I don't get the lettuce soggy. So I'm putting some of that carrot slaw in the corner, and then while that is setting, I'm just going to let the chicken rest and cool a little bit. I did add some cucumber to these salads. This is not something that came in my Home Chef box, but again, it's super easy to add this. I'm also adding a few of those cherry tomatoes that I washed up earlier, and I'm just having these and putting them on top of the lettuce. I thought that it would be easier to eat this as a salad rather than a wrap during the work week for my husband and I. I definitely think I could have done it as a wrap, but just to make it a little bit easier, I thought that it would be great to use it as a salad. So that chicken turned out really tender. I would definitely recommend that poaching method if you're looking to make cooked chicken. Once that had cooled a little bit, I chopped it up into bite-sized pieces, and then I'm tossing that with the buffalo sauce that came with my Home Chef box. So once that is tossed up, I'll let that sit and cool just a little bit more. There were also some crispy jalapenos that came with this, and to keep the crisp in those, I went ahead and put those in a few little dressing containers just to keep on the side. I put the chicken in the salad containers, and that is basically it. I did add a little bit of extra ranch dressing because I wasn't sure if the salad would need it or not. I didn't actually end up using my ranch, but I think Adam did. So I just added a little cup of the Lighthouse ranch dressing, and these were some awesome salads for us to take to work during the week. They were delicious. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to work on is some peanut butter banana muffins. These also have oatmeal in them. I'm also always looking for sort of healthier for my kids' muffin recipes that I can make homemade rather than buying the packaged, highly processed muffins, because, you know, they would eat those little packets of muffins every day for breakfast if I let them. But I feel a lot better if I'm making the muffins myself with homemade ingredients and giving them like a little bit of fruit or yogurt on the side. And so I'll link this recipe down below if you guys are interested in trying it out. I do think they turned out really good. So in the bowl, I mashed up some banana. The recipe only called for 1 banana, but I added 2 since that's what I had on my counter. And I wanted to make sure I got those bananas used up. So you can combine the eggs and the mashed banana, milk, oil, and peanut butter. You have to whisk that a little bit. Use your muscles and whisk it up until it's totally combined. If I did this again, I might use a stand mixer, but it definitely worked out fine just using a whisk. Next, you can add the dry ingredients, so your flour and your oats. This recipe only uses... I think, let me see. I'm trying to find the amount of brown sugar it uses. Only a 1/4 cup. So it really only uses a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then the rest of the sweetener comes from the bananas and peanut butter. So, you know, this is definitely not a low carb recipe. I mean, I'm familiar with low carb recipes and I know what they are, but I do think that this recipe does not have a whole lot of added sugars in it, if that's what you're concerned about. It also does use a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips total. So I went ahead and used a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips and a 1/4 cup of peanut butter chips for the whole recipe and folded those in at the end. So once your batter is combined, you can go ahead and get your muffin cups ready. I'm just using a regular muffin tin along with some paper liners. I like to spray those with a little bit of cooking spray just to make sure that they don't stick. And this recipe made perfectly 12 muffins, so that worked out great. Once I scoop those into the containers there, I'm going to actually sprinkle just a few chocolate chips over the top of those before I put them in the oven. One of the common reviews that came from this recipe was that it wasn't quite sweet enough, and so I think definitely the added chocolate chips on top just added a tiny little bit of sweetness that just made the muffins perfect.
My green times are better in the bedroom. Make you singing in falsetto. Get all hippie in the meadows. Oh, I keep kicking Billy's in my sneakers. Dirty.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the oven. I cooked them at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. I can't remember if I had to add extra time at the end, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but just cook them until they are firm to the touch and look like they are totally cooked through. So I let those cool in the muffin pan for a couple of minutes, and then I remove them to a wire rack. Definitely with muffins, you want to make sure that you cool them on a wire rack until they are totally cool before you put them in a container. Otherwise, they will condensate the container and get super mushy. So the last thing that I'm going to make today is some ground beef taco meat. I had meant to make this for my family for the upcoming week because I thought I was going to be out of town, but due to snowy weather, I didn't end up going out of town, but that's fine. We still use this for tacos during the work week. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef in a skillet here. I don't actually add regular chopped onion anymore because my kids are sort of picky about that right now. So I just went ahead and added some salt and pepper and some minced dried onion. And then I'm just using the package directions. So I have this McCormick taco seasoning. It actually comes in a pretty large bag from Walmart. This is better, I think, than the taco seasoning that that Costco carries. I've tried the large sort of container from Costco and I don't care for it, but this McCormick taco seasoning is my favorite. So like I said, I just use the package directions to add water and taco seasoning to that. And then I like to let this simmer for about 30 minutes on low heat so that the beef gets nice and tender. And then I let that cool. So once it is cool enough, I go ahead and add it to a glass container, and that will stay good in the fridge for about a week until we are ready to use it. All right, so one last thing before I quit for meal prep today. I have these raspberry blood oranges that I got from Hy-Vee. They're actually really good. They were on sale for like $1.99 a bag, which I thought was super cheap. And so I picked up a couple bags of them. And one thing I like to do is just prep my fruit in advance so that my family eats it. I'm just using a sharp knife and my cutting board to cut these into 6 sort of wedges per orange, and then I will store those in the fridge for the upcoming week.
Okay, so I am all done with my meal prep, and I wanted to show you guys what I got done today. So I made 12 of these peanut butter, banana, and oatmeal muffins. They have both regular chocolate chips and peanut butter chips in them. My kids are still going to try some of these, so I'll have to let you know how they have turned out, but they look really good. The recipe said that they were not that sweet, but I guess we'll see. I think, you know, I sprinkled extra chocolate chips on the top, so hopefully they will be okay. And one of the Home Chef meals that I made was this chicken with the orzo and kale. So this will be really good for lunch meal prep this week. I'm looking forward to taking that. I also made some taco meat for walking tacos, and then I have some of these Taco Bell mild tortilla chips that I got from Aldi. We haven't tried these yet, but I assume they're kind of like Burritos, and so my kids and my husband can have those this week while I am gone. I have some shredded lettuce in the refrigerator along with like cheese, sour cream, salsa, all of the taco fixins. I also went ahead and vacuum sealed my chicken breasts and labeled them, so those will go into the deep freeze for a later date. I have my breakfast burritos here, so I've wrapped these in wax paper, and then I ran out of wax paper, so one is wrapped in parchment paper, but those will be easily reheated in the microwave for breakfast this week. I have my blood oranges that I cut up for snacks and the kids to have with dinner and lunch and breakfast. I have my grapes that I washed up, my tomatoes that I washed up, my cut up veggies, so cucumber, peppers, and carrots, and I have ranch dressing in the fridge to go with those. Also my fruit salad, so cut up strawberries, mango, and blueberries. And then lastly, my buffalo chicken salads that I sort of adapted from my Home Chef recipe. So I went ahead and packed those into containers along with a little bit of ranch dressing. So Adam can take those for salads this week. He's been liking to take like a can of Progresso soup and a salad for lunch. So that is what I got done for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I really love filming these videos. They are my favorite videos to film, and obviously I'm not staging anything. I'm just doing this like I normally would for my family during the work week. So if you have any requests on things that you want me to meal prep, like specific recipes, let me know in the comments below. I will see you in my next video. Bye.